one of the senior editors at Huffington Post comes on and is like, imagine debating like white supremacy or whatever. And it's like, that's not even what we're talking about. The main frustrating thing for me, and I say this over and over again, is there is so much misinformation that exists in media today, everywhere. And a lot of you guys, when I was talking to, especially in the first half of my conversation, a lot of you guys were like, Destiny, you need to push back here. Destiny, you need to go hard here. Destiny. You guys think that I have stronger ground to stand on than I actually do. There was a fuck ton of misinformation related to some of the BLM narratives. There is no, and I know that a lot of you guys want to see me like come out like, oh no, BLM was like almost all accurate, blah, 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 blah. If I would have like tried to stand and be like, no, I think BLM is mostly accurate, I would have had to fall on like 50 different fucking stories that were horrendously misrepresented, right? Like, for instance, how many people still think that Breonna Taylor was fucking shot dead in bed? How many people think that Michael Brown was shot in the back for no reason, running away from a cop, right? There are so many of these huge narratives that were just so horrendously disingenuously presented that like there is no fucking way that I'm gonna try and stand up and be like, oh no, I think that most of the big narratives are BLM are right. I'll defend the data arguments, and I'll defend that a lot of people made the data arguments, but you have to acknowledge that when your movement comes out swinging with so much misinformation, for people like me, it makes my job really, really, really hard because I can't defend a lot of what the mainstream narratives end up being, or at least a lot of what the mainstream alternative media or social media narratives end up being, right? Do you think the mainstream media was mostly pushing those fake narratives, though, or mostly the alternative media? I think it's a combination of the mainstream media not being quite careful enough, and then it is amplified like crazy. The social media and alternative media. It gets amplified insanely by irresponsible third parties like Vosh or Hassan, for instance. It would be good examples of like alternative media people that amplify false narratives and get people riled up over something that didn't happen. A convo that you thought left-wing and right-wing misinformation was just as bad and seemed to flip them. I'm talking to Lauren. Is this just a context difference? So when it comes to the actual harm of misinformation, I think that we can very clearly say this is way more harmful than this, which is less harmful. But when it comes to the concept of misinformation in general, I think that all of it is almost generally bad. And the reason why I get so upset about misinformation on the left is because I think it pushes people to the more harmful misinformation that exists on the right. So for instance, if you want to believe in BLM, and then you start looking up some of the major narratives, some of the martyrs that these people have chosen, and you actually read just the fucking Wikipedia, then you're like, oh, wait, this is all a fucking lie. And then next thing you know, you're listening to Jordan Peterson, then you're listening to Charles Murray, then you're listening to Stefan Molyneux, and you're like, wow, black people have warrior genes, right? But like, what was the initial push? You didn't have a hook. There was nothing there on the left to actually ground you out, because when you did a little bit of investigating, you're like, wait, hold on, half this shit is a fucking lie, right? So I think that the information on the misinformation on the right is more damaging, but I think that the misinformation on the left can lead you very easily to misinformation on the right. It's kind of a complicated position, but like, I mean, I will say that different levels of misinformation are bad, right? The water thing, for instance, right, I think is not a huge deal versus like the vaccine misinformation. But if you are inundated with misinformation, it's easy for you to fall for worse misinformation in the future, if that makes sense. I think the reason why is because right-wing populists are better at recruiting and sustaining that anti-elite rage. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you see that the Way of the Burned subreddit is literally an anti-vaxxer subreddit now. Like, it's insane. Holy shit. Something that I realized as I engage more with conservatives is that I'm still not doing a good enough job, I think, at getting across what I believe to be true to my audience. So I'm going to be completely straightforward with one thing. I absolutely lied yesterday. I did watch that Lawrence Southern January 6th video in advance. I researched all my points, and I looked up the Owen case. That's why I knew what he was in jail for, and I looked up all the charges, and I made sure that nobody was actually charged for sedition or any crazy to look for trumped-up charges, okay? So I was actually very prepared for that conversation, okay? One of the reasons why I looked up that video, though, is because I noticed that you guys on my subreddit had posted her video, and you guys were losing your mind. However, if you watch her video, for the most part, it was mostly okay. Now, obviously her framing is far more right-wing. So for instance, several times she says, well, I think rioters should always be held accountable, but she's always showing like video clips of like BLM riots and shit. And then her talking about how unfair it was that Owen is being targeted. It's not unfair. The charges are totally reasonable. They're all misdemeanor charges. And based on some of the things that he said in the past on InfoWars, not at all surprising that they're going to throw the book at him. 100%. But I notice that you guys are like so hate fucked in the brain. You guys are like spamming, like, oh, did she think it wasn't blah, 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 blah. I notice sometimes that when people don't like something, they think that all of it is fair game. They think that like, oh yeah, Vosh, I don't really like him. He's a transphobic rapist. Like, oh, what? Yeah, I mean, I don't like him either, but is that true? Like, let's calm the fuck down. Holy shit. Just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean that you have to go full into the paint on attacking every single thing he said. Because the problem is, and the thing that irritates me the most, is that it undermines the fuck out of my types of arguments. Because now I have to answer for how stupid all of you guys are. And I mean that in the general sense of people on the left, and in the specific sense of you guys in my community, when you write these like deranged threads. Like, I don't know if anybody has that thread actually. If somebody wants to, the January 6th one, or where Lauren covered the January 6th thing on my subreddit. Okay, so listen to this post. Since it is okay now to, I permabanned this guy for being a fucking moron. So here's the thread title. Since it is okay now to handwave any criticisms of Lauren Southern before she changed, let's focus on one of her recent videos about the Capitol riot. Okay, first of all, I've never said it's okay to handwave all criticisms. I'm so highly critical of things that she says today and things she's done in the past. But I don't have to make shit up to do it, okay? So he links video. The Capitol riot wasn't that bad, Pepe. So first of all, she didn't say the Capitol riot wasn't that bad in here. She's very directly quoting the FBI that said there wasn't a large conspiracy, right? I don't think she makes the argument in here that the Capitol riot wasn't that bad. In fact, in this video, I'm pretty sure she says several times, hey, if there are rioters or whatever, they should be charged and they should be held accountable. But then she also shows videos, obviously, of BLM and shit because she has a conservative slant. But she never says that they weren't that bad. I don't think that that is like a takeaway from the video. The TLDW of the video is that essentially only 5% of rioters actually had a plot to overthrow the government, and the rest was just an agitated mob, so it doesn't count as an insurrection. Another argument she uses to support this narrative is that Alex Jones and Roger Stone weren't directly involved with said 5%, according to the FBI. It's easy to see that she would never use this kind of motivated reasoning and charitability if BLM and Antifa stormed the Capitol. It doesn't matter that only 5% were involved in a conspiratorial plot. These 5% used the remaining 95% in order to achieve their goal. I don't know what that means. Like, the FBI did an investigation. The vast majority of the people there weren't organized. There were 5%, maybe, that is maybe, that had some outside, like, activity, but it's not like every single, like, protester there went into the Capitol building, right? This is not to say that you can't correct false narratives about January 6th. It's pretty obvious, though, that she tries to downplay the whole thing, and surprise, surprise, in her video, she uses the weakest arguments from the left to dunk on, which she has to frame in a bad faith manner. I'd really like to see Destiny covering this video on stream and or confronting her about it. I did watch the whole video, but, like, you have to acknowledge the fact that it wasn't a grand fucking conspiracy, and it seems like there were a lot of people that tried to present it as such, which was dumb. Do you think it's worth trying to police your community to be less rage brain when it comes to people they don't like? I mean, I try, I do what I can, but, like, I don't know if this thread changed when I started banning people because... And even this, like some of the posts here, the FBI said that it was only 5 to 10% of protesters were organized. They did not say that it was not an insurrection. What the FBI is not going to declare something? Is that even like a legal thing? Is there a legal declaration of like, this is an insurrection? Like, Lauren is twisting the FBI's word here and you're falling for it. This is why Lauren Southern should be confronted about it. Like, what? How does that make it? What does that even mean? And then... why do I believe it is an insurrection? Because of this footage. And then he just links the New York Times, like, 40-minute thing that we all watched, like, going through everything. But, like, it's not really, you're not making an argument, right? But, okay, if people organically try to storm Congress, is that really better than if they conspired to do so? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. What are you talking about? If you have, like, a huge protest that gets out of hand and it's, like, fucked, and people break in, and then some people start going through like fucking Congress or Capitol Hill or whatever. If that shit happens, that's bad. But that's way different than like 50,000 people coordinated on fucking social media to like go in, break in, and do the worst they could, right? These are way different things, of course. What do you mean? An organized attempt, yeah, is always like far more like worse than a random mob. Isn't the poster's first point that she's picking news just for her view? This is the FBI report, my dudes. I'm sorry, but like if you're not gonna listen to the FBI report here, then the only thing I didn't like from her end was that she tried to say that January 6th was as bad as the BLM protest when if corrected for okay, sure, but like I pushed back against that. I don't think I would never call what happened January 6th an insurrection. I just don't think there was an organization for it, and I think that like you're getting into like what we can say about the insurrection was that, or the January 6th stuff is that it was horrible. I think it was historical. I think it was historically unprecedented. And I think it was driven by the rhetoric of the President of the United States. All of that is horrible. And I think all of that can be like rightfully talked about in a like that this is an atrocious event. But as soon as you call it an insurrection or a coup, now you're trying to defend some incredibly esoteric idea that like, why would you even go there? Why would you even do that? Why put yourself through that? Everything else is so bad. You don't need to go that far. So should we just call it the Capitol riots then? I think Capitol riots is a good descriptor, yeah. I think it was cringe how aggressive she was. Yeah, sure, but like that was one of the reasons why like I feel like, and this is why like I always try to say this, like my strategy for conversations is if it's going to be an adversarial conversation, I like to be very like calm and chill in the first half. And if the other person starts to get more and more aggressive, I think that it makes my position look better. That's the feeling that I get. I guess I'll be able to tell when the YouTube video is posted. But I think that like when she's kind of like laughing and saying like, oh no, I don't think this or whatever. But I think my arguments are pretty solid. I think that the MSNBC mix-up was pretty funny. I think that I'm not afraid now on stream to like, if somebody links me an article, I'll be like, okay, let's actually read this article and see if it says what you're saying it says. Because I feel like her interpretation of that article was a really big stretch, saying that some people will see it as presented as news. And it's like, well, hold on. The guy literally says, I loosely peg. Like, you're not watching, like New York Times, WAPO, like, don't like write news stories like this, right? I think that I think it was fine, yeah. The one other thing I'll say, how fucking embarrassing for me. How fucking cringe that I'm trying to spend this time defending the mainstream media at least has some accountability over alternative media, and this stupid fucking dipshit. So this girl tweets out, because this week wasn't fucking incredibly stupid, Destiny has Lauren fucking Southern on. So this blue checkmark dipshit is a researcher at the Media Matters for America think tank, okay? Whatever. Fine, she doesn't like me talking to her. That's okay. But then in the fucking mentions, one of the senior editors at Huffington Post comes on and is like, imagine debating like white supremacy or whatever. And it's like, that's not even what we're talking about. Why would you even do this? Why would you come through on your dumbass blue checkmark Huffington Post account, a guy that's literally writing a book about the Proud Boys, and responds to a tweet saying, imagine thinking white supremacy is a legitimate position worthy of debate. How fucking stupid. I'm convinced that a lot of these people have never actually spoken to somebody that has like a different set of political beliefs than them. The Huffington Post is like worse than The Intercept. Yeah, I mean, maybe HuffPo doesn't count as like mainstream, I guess, but like, I don't know, it's still fucking annoying. They're still a big enough publication to get all their like loser fucking writers check marks, so. But the blurring of journalism and op-ed is bad. I actually agree with that. I wish there was more separation. It took me an embarrassingly long time to learn that. I think I was in my mid-20s before I actually realized, like, wait a second. There's a huge difference between like reporting and like pundits. Like there's a big difference between Fox News reporting, which if you read their website, they have a slant, but it's usually like pretty accurate. They're not usually like outright fucking lying about something on Fox News compared to the pundits. So like Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson or it used to be Bill O'Reilly, like any of the actual like the entertainment side. And those things are way different, and it's not at all the same as like the actual like reporting stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I almost wish there was like a mandatory separation there. That if you do news, you don't do op-eds or punditry or whatever. Oh shit! I wish I would have had this study in hand. Somebody just emailed me this. Study finds that the single largest driver of the coronavirus misinformation was Donald Trump. Wait, Destiny, did you hear Lauren say studies aren't improved with peer review? Skip to 57:14 for about a minute of context. Wait, what?
Train done the entire time, Lauren.
I heard this debate went off the rails.
Running that train, and
Well, let's look at your fucking Nature study, which ends, we recover a principle following a scenario 2019. Racial disparities in the killing of armed suspects by police are proportional to the relative rates of violent criminality. Again, Cesario responded to Ross and found the same results regardless, and his previous paper controlled for crime and population, unlike what you have been asserting.
That study you just cited isn't even published, dog. It's a preprint. He also lost their 2 original co-authors. It's not peer-reviewed, it's not published, it's fucking nothing.
Okay, well, that's that.
Let me fucking look at it again.
Oh, no!
You sent me the preprint. It comes from a website called PS Archive Preprints.
Why does it matter that it's a preprint?
Because it hasn't been peer-reviewed, it hasn't been published. He's also the only author for this, whereas his original work had 2 other co-authors.
The only author?
Well, it means that there's even less eyes on his project.
Either the data is wrong that he's presenting, or it's not. You're trying to
it's not even approved. Anyone can do a goddamn preprint.
Yo, I don't know if you guys got this, but like my view is that like all the big, it's so funny. You get big on YouTube or Twitch doing politics by being really entertaining. And that's really it. Most of us are fucking like dumb as fuck. I'm gonna jerk myself up. I'm better than most of these people, okay? Because fuck them. These guys can't even read articles. But so like if I have a debate with somebody and I bring their Solinome up and it's like, oh, you have 1,000 concurrent viewers, you're probably gonna be dumb as fuck. This is gonna be the easiest debate ever. The scary people are like these random motherfucking like 20 concurrent view streamers who are like wicked smart. And you're like, oh shit. Okay, I gotta watch out for that dude. I don't know why that is the case, but you run into these people that are like, you have no audience, you have no platform, but you're really smart, your point's usually really good, you're really well researched, and they're like, oh shit, you gotta watch out for that guy. Yeah. I don't know why that is. The Rose Risk guy, I've seen a couple things with him. He seems like he's usually like pretty on with most of the stuff he talks about. Same thing with Mouth the Infidel, I believe. Liberal Sanity Project is usually pretty well read on everything. The Jangles guy, Mr. Bojangles, or whatever the fuck his name is usually like pretty, just interesting to me. Oh yeah, and SDL before he got with Merrick. No, he's still probably fine. I'm sorry. Do you think getting an audience makes people blind to instilling some kind of urge to please them? I think that if you jerk off certain things, you get a lot of viewers, and people like that. People get obsessed on the viewer grind. Because that's like their goal. Like if I were to react to Steven Crowder vids all day, I could have 10,000 concurrent viewers, or maybe 20,000, because I'd have split between both platforms. Because putting certain people in my title on YouTube, dude. I know that like Dr. Disrespect and some people say like YouTube is really bad for discovery. That is not true. YouTube is amazing for discovery. So like for my stream today, for instance, I put like Lauren Southern and somebody else like in the title or whatever. I've got as many viewers on YouTube right now as I do on Twitch, right? And I'm not like, I guess I am kind of a YouTube streamer now, but like obviously I'm known more on Twitch. So like I don't know, that kind of shit is very interesting to me. Anytime there's like a big drama event going on, as long as my titles on YouTube are accurate, you can get like a lot of discovery on YouTube streams. It's really insane. I think Dr. Disrespect is just upset because the reality is like not that many people want to watch like Call of Duty. I say not that many people. He still gets like 20,000 concurrent viewers, but yeah. But I can't do that. I like just watching videos of people being dumb. I get really bored. I'll just sit there and watch it for 10 minutes and be like, yep, that was some dumb shit. Yeah, and then I'm done. I don't know. I can't. But other people, man, dude. Props to Hassan, okay? Because he will take like a fucking 20-minute video and somehow stretch that motherfucker out to last like 5 or 6 hours. That's the entertainment brain. That's the streamer brain right there. I don't have that. I have the StarCraft 2 brain still, and I'm trying to make it work. I'm a StarCraft 2 player in a streaming world, all right? Do you think it's impossible to be both factually accurate and super duper popular? Like a lot of people read blogs like Derek Lowe and SSC who seem I don't know who either of those people are. I'm sure it's possible. It just seems like most people that get really popular doing politics are just like dumb as fuck. Like they don't, yeah, I don't know. They're so dumb. Uninformed is what I should say, I guess. No, and sometimes dumb or sometimes really bad faith. Speaking of, I was reading this New York Times article. For that study. The study identified, this came out in September of last year, I believe. The New York Times article did at least. The study identifies 11 topics of misinformation, including various conspiracy theories, like ones that emerged in January, suggesting the pandemic was manufactured by Democrats to coincide with Mr. Trump's impeachment trial, and another that purported to trace the initial outbreak in Wuhan, China to people who ate bat soup. But by far, the most prevalent topic of misinformation was miracle cures, including Mr. Trump's promotion of anti-malarial drugs and disinfectants as potential treatment for COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus. That accounts for more misinformation than the other 10 topics combined, the researchers reported. I think they found more than 38 million articles published from January 1st to May 26th. More than 1.1 million, or slightly less than 3%, contained misinformation. And it was. Have you ever been tempted to do more populist content in order to get more views and fame? No, fuck that. I can't. It rots my brain.
Opinion on the Afghanistan withdrawal. I'm super happy about it.
I don't know how anybody can say they're super happy about it. Clearly, it was fucked up. Clearly, there should have been like a better process there. I mean, we had to leave. Maybe it would have always been somewhat fucked up. I don't know. I don't know, man. I want to say... fuck, I shouldn't even say that. It seemed like it was fucked up. I don't know if there were better alternatives, though. I've had so many people email me so much information regarding Afghanistan in terms of, like, this is the only thing that could have ever happened. Because, like, oh, man, I've had 2 or 3 people that email me so much information regarding this. I had one guy might actually come on to talk who was he was a congressional staffer, he said, for 2 years, and he wanted to talk about it. But, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, basically the idea that, like, if the United States would have expedited visa processing, showing that they were planning on leaving, and, like, it would undermine the ANA because it basically, like, make it sound like, hey, we're leaving, and we know you guys are going to collapse immediately, so we're going to try to, like, get as many people out of it. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I will say, though, it's really funny. All the Republicans that are pretending to give a fuck about the Afghan people, that didn't give a fuck about the Kurdish people that we left in Syria. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a rough one. I'm not sure. Do you think that Kyle Kalinske is Biden's #1 defender of the Afghan pullout? Yeah, because Kalinske is a dipshit that thinks that all foreign intervention is bad and all withdrawal is good. He's just stupid as fuck.